I arrived in the city as an engineering student from Mumbai, and my first reaction was, why? I don't know if it was my assumption of a big city which meant pace and people on their toes all the time, or it was my incomplete knowledge about Pune. But clearly, I had entered the city of bikes from the city of fast paced local trains with all the wrong expectations. Pune, which was moving at its own pace, kind of slow pace, was quite popular across the country and globe, but didn't bother about what the world imagines it to be, and gave people the feeling of being a great city through one thing, but definitely not the other. I hated this place, and I'm sure if the city could talk, it would have yelled at me to go back to where I belonged. And that was the first thing I learned about Pune. Even its aura didn't go out of the way to please anybody. Rather, it left people with time to explore and adjust. So, with mutual dislike for each other, Pune and I began our journey. And as they say, change is the only constant. Pune is an educational hub. We all know that. Probably the reason I got trapped here too. But contrary to the assumptions, it was not just the number and age of colleges which made it so. Rather, it was the variety and approach. And the way this variety was approached, like in the Easton's college, made an aspiring engineer in me to overthink about how creative life would have been without engineering. And when we talk about the variety of courses and institutes in this hub, the list goes on, from arts to medical to management to architecture. But one institute which completed this list was probably the one which didn't make much noise, but was truly the pride of the country, training and transforming young boys into valiant soldiers of the nation, the National Defence Academy. Now, I don't know the reason behind establishment of NDA in Pune, but I believe somehow it turned out to be a great tribute to the land which was once associated with brave Maratha warriors, that it is still somehow contributing in producing brave warriors for the nation. So was the city just about training and learning? Well, absolutely not. Pune had widely opened itself for implementation, becoming a major IT hub in the country. And amidst all the development, the city had still somehow preserved its rawness, be it in the divinity of the 8th century Pataleshwar caves, which successfully stood the strides of time, or in the beauty of Pet areas, which spoke volumes about old Pune, or in the Kayani bakery, which was still the city's sweetheart in spite of multiple branded bakeries, or in the simplicity and heavenly savories of Old Woman Cafe. The city, having one of the best nightlives in the country, taught that nightlife is not just about getting sloshed in one of those pubs, but it is also about kickstarting your bike at 11 p.m. in the night and driving miles away to have a sip of tea at that specific tapri. It's okay, find your own share of peace. It showed that while it is only normal for everybody to make plans for a weekend getaway or a late night party, plans can also be made for an early morning breakfast. Yes, get up and get dressed for what? For breakfast at any one of those amazing restaurants in the city. Morning, evening, night, everything is a trend here. This place was an example that in a time where the running time stamp mostly brings grace to museum and art centers, how the other old stuff, like our SGS, one of the oldest malls of the city, or the old Mandai, could also continue to be its people's favorite. So gradually the city turned out to be a hero, huh? Well, yes and no. Because like every other city, it too had its flips. But yeah, gradually this beautiful city of Pates, which was successfully protecting its rawness, developing itself with IT, recreating its legacy through Kadam and Kuka, without leaving behind Pohe, Bale and Missile, gleaming in pride with the knowledge base it has built since years for lakhs of us, and vibrating with an attitude of Puneri Tat, made me fall in love with everything that I had complained about. Except the transport system, of course. In love with every pause that it took, and every pace that it controlled in the never-ending race. Every serenity that it offered to help us unwind, and all the attempts it made to filter out that rush, to help its people form the deepest bonds ever. Every bit of it. And the land which played and mastered the role of the Queen of Deccan, Students' Hub, Pensioners' Paradise, Cultural Heritage, IT Hub, showed why it was called so, with grace, style, and attitude. And all I wanted to say was, it was a pleasure meeting you, Pune.